In today's video, we've got some good news and we've got some potential bad news. The good news is the first listing for the Basic Fun Arcade Classic Star Wars Return of the Jedi cab has gone live, and for people that are interested in that cab that possibly missed out on the Arcade1Up Star Wars, you can now place an order. But the bad news is actually coming out of that post, as it looks like we finally have official dimensions for the Basic Fun Ultra Series cabs, and let's just say Ultra may in fact be Slim. And if you've been watching this channel for a while, we all know in-home arcade, Slim equals bad. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Michael B, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the first official posting for the Basic Fun Arcade Classics Star Wars Return of the Jedi cab. This is one I was potentially interested in, having unfortunately sold my original Star Wars and looking to replace it without much luck on the secondary market. This was now a new opportunity, but unfortunately, some news came out of that posting which may stop me from actually buying the cab, and which may interest a lot of you as to whether or not you would be interested in picking up an Ultra Series cab from Basic Fun. But before we get into that, I want to say thank you so much, everybody, for checking out the video. Guys, I always appreciate the support. If this is your first time to the channel, you like what you see, go ahead, subscribe, click the bell for notification, all that YouTube jazz. So we've already seen the Basic Fun WrestleFest, and we've already seen the Basic Fun Centipede. The only cabinet from their 2025 launch that we haven't got yet is the Star Wars Return of the Jedi cab. Now, this is one I have my eyes on, as I unfortunately sold my original Arcade1Up Star Wars cab, and I dearly miss playing Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, and of course the titular game Return of the Jedi, which actually isn't all that bad. Well, a retailer here in Canada, The Brick, does now finally have the Star Wars Return of the Jedi Basic Fun Arcade Classic up for sale. We do know now the price, $6.99, so the same as the rest of the Basic Fun cabinets, which will be roughly around $5.99 US. Here's what's interesting. You know, there's not much new information other than a couple product images that you've seen in other places. But what is interesting is, for the first time, we do have a retailer showcasing a product with the dimensions. So we see that it's 61.5 inches tall, which we already knew, 23.4 inches deep, and 23.4 inches wide and 18.6 inches deep. Now, despite this thing not being 100% arcade accurate, which, you know, I can't really fault Basic Fun for. I can, but I can't, because the original, you know, had a box on top, and then it had the control panel out front, and then it was on a pedestal. Might not be the most stable product for them to actually release, but it does have really cool art, and I can play the Star Wars games. So even though I'm not a big fan of the other Ultra cabs, I was considering picking this one up mainly because I miss playing Star Wars. I miss playing these games on an arcade machine, and it's not something you can easily replicate on a multicade. So I reached out to a couple of my friends last night, one of which, Jason Little Alien, Moderator Extreme, and I said, yeah, I'm going to do something stupid. I think I'm actually going to get the Basic Fun Star Wars cab. And he said to me, well, I hope you don't mind that it's 4 inches less deep than all the other arcades. Now, for those of you who've been following me for a very long time, you know about my love affair with Arcade1Up. I bought like 40 of these cabs over the course of the last 6 years. I love the progression they were making, going from the original shark fin design to coming up with more accurate designs with one of their best cabs of all time, of course still being the Star Wars cab. But I've been frustrated in the past years about some of the regressions they've made and steps back. Of course, there was probably no more egregious regression in my point than when they released the NBA Jam Deluxe Slim Edition. This was only 14.6 inches deep, coming in at 18.4 inches deep with the footrest. My problem with it was I didn't understand the need for having a slimmer arcade, and of course there's compromises with a slimmer arcade where you have to modify the art, and as you can see there, push the NBA logo to the bottom of the cab because because of this compromise. Now, this is a compromise ever since that point that has stuck with Arcade1Up, even with their most recent arcades. If you take a look at the Terminator 2 Arcade1Up, you'll notice that it's only 18.4 inches deep. Now, if you remember the original Terminator 2 Arcade1Up, it was actually the deepest Arcade1Up to date, being as much as 3 to 4 inches more than any other Arcade1Up. And that was because, obviously, the pedestal out front for the guns needed to be a little bit longer. Here, they compromised it. They made it a Slim Cades. And as you can see, the compromise with that is you have to move the artwork down to the bottom of the screen. The problem with the artwork is you actually can't change it or stretch it to fit the dimensions of the cabinet. You have to keep it in its original aspect ratio, and the only way to really fix this and to fit it on the cab is to push it down lower, leaving more dead space up top. And if you remember the original Terminator 2 arcade, Arnold is pretty much over the entire side of the cabinet. Now, of course, this trend continued with the Pac-Man Neo. You will notice it is also 18.46 inches deep. And again, they have beautiful artwork on the side of the cabinet, not arcade original, but something people might be interested in. But because of the dimensions of the cabinet and the slim form factor, that art is once again pushed down to the bottom of the cabinet. Now, you're probably saying, Mike, this is a basic fun video. Why all of a sudden are you talking about Arcade1Up and their problems with the slim cabinets? So I want you to go back and take a look at the Basic Fun Return of the Jedi cabinet. You will notice that I showed this picture, which is the first group to actually share the dimensions of the cabinets on screen. You will notice that it's 23.4 inches wide, 61.5 inches tall, but only 18.6 inches deep. That 18.6 should sound familiar when you look back to talk about the two Arcade1Ups we just covered that were in fact 18.4 and 18.4 inches deep together. So is this essentially the same as an Arcade1Up Deluxe Slim Cades? Now you're saying, Mike, maybe it's just the one cab. Maybe it's an anomaly with the way they did Star Wars. No, it's in fact, apparently, all of Basic Fun's Ultra Series cabs are in fact slim cabinets, or the Slim series, you could say. So take a look there. This is actually the WrestleFest cab, and as you will notice as well, pretty much the same dimensions and an 18.6 inch depth. And now if you take a look at the artwork, this is something I've been critical on both the Centipede and the WrestleFest Ultra Cab. The artwork is pushed down to the base of the cabinet, and as you look up top, they put a WrestleFest logo, and there's a lot of dead space up top because of the depth of the side panel and having to push the art down. And what's even more frustrating and confusing about all this is we know, due to leaked images, that Basic Fun still has a Slim series of cabs that were announced all the way back when they first came out, that were going to be $449 as compared to the original purchase price of the Ultra series of $499. Now, if you take a look at these cabs, you will notice it's 61.5 inches tall, same as the Ultra. But if the regular Ultra Series cabs are only 18.6 inches deep, how friggin' slim are the Slims going to be? So what's really frustrating about this, and why nobody's brought this up earlier, is the fact if you look at all the US postings for the Basic Fun cabs, you will notice that image just shared by The Brick does not show up anywhere here on their Amazon listing, and nowhere on the Amazon listing is there actual dimensions for the cabinet. So I'm a little bit confused. Does The Brick have the wrong dimensions? Do they have the right dimensions? Why are these dimensions not available for the US products? And check all the Amazon Ultra cabs, they're not there. Now, I have sent a message out to both Spreetail and Basic Fun saying you should probably update these. These may be updated by the time you watch this video, but keep in mind, these dimensions were not provided originally when they are a staple of what Arcade1Up does, so at least you know what you're buying. Now, if you want to get even more confused, the Basic Fun cabs are also posted on the Best Buy Canada website, and I went there to verify if the brick maybe had the wrong dimensions. I can verify they do not have the same images that the bricks have, and they actually do have dimensions listed. So we do have width 23.4 inches, which matches up with the brick's width dimension. The height 61.5 matches up. Here's where it gets really strange and really confusing. They list the depth as 9 inches. I don't know what's going on. Does that mean that the Slim series is going to be 9 inches and they got that confused? I mean, it's bad enough that the brick is saying these are 18.6 inches. Now Best Buy is saying they're 9 inches deep. Obviously, this is a mistake, but what are the actual dimensions? So I did reach out to Spreetail and I got them to check. Now they came back and they said the width was actually going to be what's listed as 18.6, while the depth is 23.4, which is more in line with what we're used to from Arcade1Up. If you take a look at the dimensions for Arcade1Up and the actual deluxe line, those are usually 22.4 inches deep, but then a little bit less on the width. So hopefully this is just a mistake on the bricks part, but there's some other information that actually supports the brick's dimensions. Now, there are a lot of reviews out there of the Basic Fun WrestleFest cab already. Of course, you've probably watched RGT85's. You've seen P-dubs that he put out recently, but I want to go back to the original review from our buddy Kessel's Family Arcade. He actually took a look at it, and during his review, he did identify that the Basic Fun cabs were in fact less deep than the actual Arcade1Up cabs. So again, that's about a difference of, if you go by the dimensions listed, Arcade1Up is about 22.4, where Basic Fun is about 18.6 according to the bricks dimensions. That's a full 3.5, almost 4 inches in difference, and according to my wife, 4 inches is a lot. It's a really good size. So anyways, guys, I am a little confused on what's going on with Basic Fun. I'm a little bit confused on the sizes. Now, obviously, I haven't bought anything in the Ultra line with WrestleFest. It was because, obviously, it's not the game I was hoping for because so many people from the roster are missing, and I was kind of just waiting for the Supreme cab. Anyways, with Centipede, I love the Centipede cab, but I mean, obviously, Centipede is a vertical game with a horizontal screen, so I skipped that one as well. The one I was hoping for was, of course, Star Wars Return of the Jedi. That's the one I had my eye on. But if this information is true and the depth is slim, just like Arcade1Up, you know my policy on that. I refuse to buy any slim cabs. So if that is the case, me personally, I won't be buying any of the Basic Fun Ultra line until they fix that issue and make the cabs just a little bit more deep, guys. We're only talking 3.5, 4 inches. You can afford the wood. Just make them consistent with what Arcade1Up is, so you don't have to screw up the art so much. Now, this might not be a huge issue for everybody. You guys might be totally fine with the cabinets being a little slimmer. I completely understand that. And, no offense if that's something you're okay with. But for me and for others in the community, a lot of us really hate these slim cabs. And it would be a shame to see Basic Fun continue with the same pattern that we're already upset at Arcade1Up for using. Anyways, like I said, Spreetail said those dimensions are wrong. They're looking into it. They've got it actually more at 18.98 inches as the different number between the two, but they're also saying the width and the depth are reversed. So we'll wait for some official confirmation. And again, like I said, the Star Wars Return of the Jedi is available right now at the Brick in Canada, but there is going to be some news coming up this Thursday. Spreetail will be updating us on the US release for Star Wars Return of the Jedi, so stay tuned for that information as well. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments down below, what do you think of this news? Is the Basic Fun Arcade Classic Ultra line really the slim line, or at least equal to Arcade1Up's new Deluxe Slim Cades line? And is that a problem for you? Let me know in the comments down below. Once again, thank you so very much for watching. This is Michael B. the Game Genie. I'll talk to you next time.